loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Rye and this is Rye's Reading Corner, and today I want to be going over my TBR for the Reddit Science Fiction Fantasy Book Bingo Board. Again, hello, I'm Rye and this is Rye's Reading Corner. If this is the first time you ever see my face, if you have not yet hit that subscribe button, please do so. It's super easy and it really helps my channel grow. So as you can tell by my thumbnail and my little introduction, today I'm going to go over my TBR for the Reddit Science Fiction Fantasy Bingo Board Challenge. So I did not know anything about this until Rachel had mentioned it. Rachel has participated in it for several times, and Rachel's like, it's this really cool thing that starts April 1st and then goes to the next year of March 31st. And the whole goal of this challenge is to try different authors, different books to push you outside of your limits when it comes to science fiction, fantasy, and I believe horror books as well. I'm really excited. There, I think it's like 25 prompts that you're supposed to complete in a year time span. So today I'm going to be going over the books that I'm tentatively scheduling to fit in the prompts. Obviously, this is subject to change as the year goes on, but these are the books that I'm thinking of like to prioritize. Please do not mind this stack of books. I planned on filming my TBR video prior to filming this video. However, I still have not gotten to be able to celebrate my birthday with my parents because of COVID stuff, and so I'm waiting for that little party to do a big birthday haul. So you're gonna have to mind that. So we're gonna get started. So for this read-a-thon, there are two prompts that you are given. One is the standard prompt, and the second prompt that goes along with the first prompt is called the hard mode. And this is like a step further to push you, and it's a little bit more of a trickier or complicated prompt or restriction that you have when you're trying to pick your book. So these are 25 books. So like I said, some of these prompts I have multiple books for that I am interested in considering, but we're gonna get started. So the first one is an LGBTQIA+ book. That's the normal prompt, and the hard mode is to pick a book that has less than 10 votes on this like recommendation sheet. So you have to pick a book off of this list. I think you have to, off this list that they have generated, and then you go through hard mode if you pick a book that has less than 10 votes. So I went through there, and the book I'm going to pick will get me a hard mode point type thing, and that is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I'm super excited to go into more of V.E. Schwab. I read Gallant and absolutely loved it, so I'm really excited to work back towards her backlisted work. I don't know too much about this. I just know that there's different Londons, and I'm really late on the game for this one. This one only had 4 votes on the recommendation sheet, so it definitely will kill me for the hard mode, and I'm super excited to finally get to this one. Okay, so number 2 is Weird Ecology, and then the hard mode is It Cannot Be Vandermeer or Meeville. I don't even know what those two things are because I'm not as versed in like the epic high fantasy, which I am working towards. But for this one, it's recommended in one of the threads that books that counts toward this, and it's The Bone Ships by R.A. Brocker, Baker, something like that. I'll put a picture because currently it is in my haul pile. This is the book series that Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy has been doing with her book club. However, I'm a little late to the game on it, so I would like to read the first one. I'm really nervous because Cassidy and Mel don't love the series, but also Sahar and Marissa really liked it. So I want to see which side I go on with this one, but it is something to do with boats and dragons, so I don't know much about it, but I have that book, and so if I can fit books in here that I actually already have, that will be a bonus. So that will be my tentative book for prompt number 2. Okay, so the next one is to pick a book that has 2 or more authors, and then the hard mode prompt is the book with 3 or more authors. So I'm going to do The Zodiac Academy, and it's by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. I've heard that the first 2 books of these series, or definitely the first one, is not the best, but the series gets better as it goes on, and it is a big series. This is a fantasy romance that takes place at like an academy, I believe, and it's a bully romance, but I know that the bullying is super relevant and strong in this first one, and I know that deters a lot of people away from this series, but I am willing to give it a try. I did get a physical copy at my local bookstore because I don't like reading huge thick books on Kindle, even though they all are on KU. But I'm excited to dive into this world and see kind of how I feel about it. So the next one is a fantasy or sci-fi that has like a historical context, and the hard mode is a book that does not take place in Britain or Ireland, I believe. And so I am going to get my hard mode prompt or point for this one, or it's not a point, I don't know why I'm saying a point, but like you guys get what I'm saying. And it's She Who Became the Sun. I can't find my physical copy, I'll put a picture here. This will definitely count for 1 because it takes place in China, I believe, and it is historical fiction based. I know Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy read this book and I believe that she really liked it, and I think Mel, also from Eleanor Reads, is using this for her prompt as well, which I will put Mel and Cassidy's TBR videos down below. Our videos are gonna be super different even though they are all the same prompts because I read very different fantasy than Mel and Cassidy do. So So if you want to see what other books you could use for these prompts, definitely go check their videos out. But I am really excited to get to this one. I got it in an Unplugged book box, so I really want to read some of those book boxes, so this prompt will fit perfect for it. All right, so number 5 is set in space, and the hard mode prompt for this one is non-Earth native. So for this one, I'm going to be reading Ice Planet Barbarians number 2. I read the first one last month and actually liked it not that bad. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I've heard the second one is not too bad either. This is a story about a group of women that have been kidnapped from Earth and end up in space with some aliens, and it's the blue alien smut. You've heard about it if you've been, especially on the late night cruise prints. We hear quite a bit about blue alien smut from Bobby, so I'm excited to adventure and continue on with this series. These are also audiobooks that I could read to help kind of get some of these books down quicker, and it's not a long read, which I'm going to need with some of these chunky fantasy books. I don't know if this would count as a non-Earth native, but I'm definitely going to be able to count it for that like a space book, so I'm excited for this one. Okay, so the next one is a standalone book, and the hard mode was a book with not on the recommendation list for this one, and I'm going to be doing Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan. As of right now, I believe this is a standalone book. If I'm wrong, please let me know, correct me down in the comments, because I definitely could be. The last time I checked, I didn't think it was, but this is a new fantasy that I'm super excited to read, and it's not on that list, so I will count this as the hard mode as well. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. Heard a little bit of mixed things about this one, and I know that I've heard that the beginning is kind of slow, but I'm excited to see it for myself, and this cover is absolutely gorgeous. So the next one is an anti-hero, and the hard mode prompt is YA, and I do really like YA fantasy, and this book is actually on my TBR for the month of April, and this is more science fiction, but I believe it is also mixed with some fantasy, and this is Iron Widow. This was listed as one of the recommendations, so I'm gonna go with it. I don't know who the anti-hero is in this book, but it's on the recommendation list from Reddit, so I'm going to read it. So I'm super excited about this one. I know it made so many people's top books of 2021, and I can't wait to dive into this one. I think I'm gonna really like it as well, so I'm definitely super excited that I can get this one on, and plus that I'm already gonna be reading it in April, so I mean, can't get better than that. Okay, so the next one is a cool weapon, and then the hard mode prompt is a weapon with like a cool weapon with a cool name. The one that showed up a lot on Reddit recommendation lists is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I know I'm really surprised I have not read this book, but I know the sequel is coming out soon, so I'm really excited. This is like an Arthurian-based legend with a female protagonist, which I'm super excited about, and I've heard really great things about this one. Also, I really want to get to this book. I don't know if it's considered a cool weapon, but there's a weapon on the cover, and that is Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. She wrote the Red Queen series, which is one of my favorite series of all time. I mean, apparently a weapon's got to come into place sometime. I mean, I don't know if it's a cool name or anything, but if you read Realm Breaker and you think it for this prompt, let me know. But I definitely know this one will be. So if I can't get this one in this prompt, maybe I can fit it in there somewhere else. Okay, so the next one is name in the title, and the hard mode prompt is for the name to be their full name. And so I'm finally going to get to this. I have put this on so many TBRs, and it's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I am so late to the game on this one, but I think I'm so nervous to read it because I know people that absolutely love this book, and then know people that absolutely hate this. However, I do think the writing will mesh with me. I love character-driven stories, and I know this one's super character-driven, so I do think that I will vibe with it. However, I am super nervous, but I am excited to dive into more V.E. Schwab, like I said earlier, so I definitely think this will be a perfect for this one, plus it will be one of the hard mode prompts as well. So the next one is to pick a book with an author that uses their initials on the cover, like to who it's published by, or to pick a book that has an author written under a pseudonym. So I'm going to choose In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. They also have another book. I can't think of their book's name, but I do own both of them, so I can read either one of these. I really like to get to these books in June because they are super queer, and I'm always looking to pretty much read fully queer books in the month of June for Pride Month. So I'd like to add some fantasy in there as well, on top of a lot of contemporaries. So this would be perfect for the month of June. I don't really know exactly what they're about, to be completely honest with you. I just heard queer fantasy with Ace Rep, and I was like, sign me up for them. So this will definitely work because KA are initials, so I mean, let's go with it. All right, so the next one is published in 2022, and the hard mode prompt is a new debut author. So I found one that I just recently picked up at Barnes & Noble, and again, it's somewhere in this lovely pile of books that I have going on, and it is A Magic Steeped in Gold. This is going to be a duology, and the author is going to be publishing the second book later this year, so that's amazing. So it's nice to be able to start a book and not have to wait years for the sequel to come up, and I am really excited. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. It's literally, I mean, I wish wish I'm putting a picture like I know what I'm going to be pointing to, but you know what I mean. I don't know too much about it, honestly. This was a cover by Bree from Four Paws of the Book. Texted me and was like, ooh, look at this new book at Barnes & Noble for their buy one, get one, 50% off. I was like, let's do it. So I'm super excited to read this book, and it will definitely count for a hard mode prompt. Okay, so the next one is an urban fantasy, which I love urban fantasy books, and the new hard mode is a main character that's part of the LGBTQIA plus community. So on the Reddit list, they said Jade City would count for this one. I don't know if Jade City has characters that identify as queer, but the Jade City is on the top of my list. It's on my top of my fantasy TBR. I posted a video. I'll link it up with cards above. Another book that I could read that would give me for that hard mode that I know for 100%, and that book is Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. Again, a book that I've heard mixed things about this one. This one I've heard absolutely amazing reviews. This is urban fantasy that takes place in Montreal, I think, or Toronto, something like that, and it's super queer, so I know I'm going to get a hard mode prompt for this one. This one, let me know down in the comments below if it is queer. I'm not 100% sure, but it was listed in the Reddit ones, but either one of these I'm very hyped to read, and they both will definitely work as urban fantasy. All right, so the next one is set in Africa, and the hard mode prompt is going to be a book that is inspired by African mythology. So for this one, I'm going to read City of Brass. I texted Mel and Cassidy and asked if this would work, because I just did recently get this book from Sahar, so thank you so much. And I'm really excited to read this one. It's been a book that I've wanted to read, but again, it's been slightly intimidated to do so. So this will give me that push that I need. I don't know too much about it, so I'm not going to try and sit here and talk to you like I know what it is about, because that would be me lying to you. But I am super excited to read this one. I've heard nothing but great things, and I think it could be something that I potentially really like. For the next one is a non-human character, and I'm going to be reading Legends and Lantes. This is a fantasy book that people have been talking about recently and was listed multiple times on the Reddit stream, so I'm super hyped to read about it. I don't know much about it, but it looks like a cozy fantasy. I feel like I'm going to need a lot of some coziness with a mix of all these kind of dark, heavy fantasies, and I'm really excited. I'm not sure if this is a KU book, but nonetheless, I'm going to buy it because this cover is absolutely everything, and I'm super excited to dive into this one. Okay, so the next one I need to look at my paper because it's a long title, and it's Wibbly, Wobbly, Timely, Wimly, and the hard mode is non-time travel. So pretty much a book that kind of plays around with the concept of time, and so I was looking through the Reddit streams, and one that was constantly being recommended in a book that I really want to read is Dark Matter, and this is something I've been wanting to read for a really long time. It's like a science fiction but thrown in with thriller, and those are things I'm super interested in, and I really want to get into more sci-fi, so I feel like this would be a really great way to kind of segue into that. I'm really excited for this one. I don't know if it would count for a hard mode prompt, but it definitely will count for the play of time, they said, so I'm going to read it. I don't currently own it, so it'll be one that I'll either purchase or just get from the library. Okay, so the next one is a book that has mental health rep, and the hard mode one is Not Stormlight, so that'll be easy for me. This one I have quite a few options because I really gravitate towards novels that have mental health rep in it, so I do have a couple options that I'm ready to play with. The first one is Pat, which is a shorter novel, won many awards, so I'm really excited to read this one. The other one is The Raven Boys, which I've had on my TBR for quite some time and need to get to it. And also, I would consider reading for this prompt, Winter's Orbit. These were all books that were listed on the Reddit recommendation, start parts, and I just got Winter's Orbit from Chelsea, so super excited to read this one too, because I've heard some really good things about it. I put it on my wish list, and Chelsea got it for me, and it is LGBTQIA+ too, so maybe that would be a good one to read in Pride Month. Okay, so the next one is the tricky one, and it's to read 5 short stories or an anthology. Yes, Nora's woken up from her nap, so she is joining us. I just wanted to read 15 Tales of Women in Witchcraft, Toil, and Trouble. If you don't know, I'm really into witchy-esque books and just the vibe that you get with all that aesthetic, and I really want to read this one. I got this one towards the end of fall season, so I didn't get to it, so this one would be a perfect one to read in the fall. Honestly, I probably will read more than 5. I'll probably read the whole entire thing and get the hard mode credit for this one in my head, because I know it's not really that was submitted anywhere, but you know, I'm always over the top and want to be an achiever. I'm really excited to read this one, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, so the next one is a self-published or indie book, and then the hard mode is a book that has less than 100 ratings on Goodreads. This is one I've had on many TBRs, but I've always pushed past because I've heard some mixed reviews. This is Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. First of all, this cover is absolutely gorgeous. I got this for a gift for last year, and I just have not gotten to it yet, and I think it's because of the mixed reviews I've heard. But I am really excited to deal with this. I love books with fae. That's a fantasy that I tend to gravitate towards. So it has a lot of those buzzwords for me, but I am a little nervous. But let's put it on this list and make sure I get to it by the end of the year. Okay, so the next one again is a mouthful, so I need to look on my paper exactly how it's worded. So this is a award finalist non-winner, and for the hard mode prompt was a not a Hugo or Nebula. So again, Reddit is amazing and provided us a list of books that have not won them and that are not in those two categories. And so for this one, I'm going to read The Night Circus. So this, again, a book that I really wanted to get to, already had it, and thankfully for that list, I would have not known that this would fit in this category. But The Night Circus is by Erin Morgenstern, very whimsical about this circus that just like appears. You never know when it's going to show up, and I'm really excited to read about it. I think I'm going to like this one because I do love whimsical writing. So this again will give me that push that I need to make sure I get it done, because again, a book I have on my TBR. Okay, so the next one is to read a book by a BIPOC author, and the hard mode prompt for this one is have the author to be Indigenous as well. So I do have a couple options again that I'm going to play along with this one because a lot of novels that I have fall into this category. The first one was on one of the Reddit list, and I also do have this book, and it's A Lost Away by Darcy Little Badger first. This cover is absolutely gorgeous, and the inside hardcover is absolutely just as beautiful. I don't know too much about this, but I've heard some really great things. I know this is queer as well, so to me that is a bonus. The next one I'm also interested in reading is Blood Like Magic by Leslie Stanbury. This is about a girl who finds that she has magic powers. I believe she's a family of witches, and she is supposed to destined to kill her first love. So I mean, a little romance too. I'm really excited, and this cover is absolutely gorgeous. Also for this one, I could read Pet, and I also could read the next book in the Amari and the Night Brothers series by B.B. Elston, which is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. So I definitely have a lot of wiggle room with this prompt and a lot of books that I would like to read. The next prompt is to read a book with shape shifting, and the hard mode prompt is non-wolf. So this one I don't think will work for hard mode, but it's a book that I need to get to, and it is Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have read this book, started it, and have never finished it, and I really need to get to, so I do want to read the latest two that have been out and released by her, and I keep buying them without reading this one, so I need to get this done so I can continue on in the series. This follows the story that was started in a Blood and Ash and following Poppy, and I absolutely love the first one, absolutely love the second one, but this one I'm struggling with, so this is good to put on this list because it's definitely the motivation that I need. All right, so the next one is called No Ifs, Ands, or Buts, which means you pick a title that does not have one of those words in it, and the hard mode is if it's a title with 3 or more words, and this was another one that I have recently bought, and it is called, so this is Ever After. So this one was a cover by, I saw this cover, it looked super queer, read the back of it, it is queer, and it's fantasy, and that's all I need to know. I'm really excited to read this one. This I've not read anything else by this author. I know there is another book that is queer, and I think set at like C, which is not usually a setting that I gravitate towards, but this one does have a lot of things that sound interesting to me, so that's why I picked it up. And it is a new release too, which is nice, so I could count that as the 2022 new release. I'm really excited to get this one, and it definitely fits well with the prompt. Okay, so the next one is to read a book, Family Matters, and this is to read a book with obviously family lineage. We have Nora here. And so for this one, I am going to read The Inheritance of Cordia Divina by Zoraida Cordova. I know I butchered that. I really apologize. And this again was listed on the Reddit as being something to deal with family matters. So I'm sold. I've heard great things about this book. I bought it, never read it, and I really wish I could have gotten to this sooner, and it's not too long, which I need. And I'm pretty sure this is more of like a light fantasy. Victoria Schwab has blurbed it, so that's a good sign for me, and I think this is going to be a great book, so I'm excited to get to it. The next one is book clubs, and for this one, we'll be doing Guild. I'm going to be a co-host for Sahar's Fan Row Book Club, and this is going to be the first book going to be read in May. So I'm going to read this. It's going to work out perfect. I don't know too much about it, to be honest, but I know it's a trilogy, and I'm really excited to dive into it. I've heard some pretty good things. I've heard that the first one is not as good as the other ones in the series, so, but I'm going to still read it anyway, obviously, because I'm a co-host, and I've wanted to be reading it for a long time. I believe it's a KU book as well, which is even better, so I'm excited to get to that one. Okay, so the last one I don't have a book for, and I wanted to leave that all to you. So whoever made it to the end of this video, you're going to help me pick a book for this prompt, and the prompt is Revolutions and Rebellion. So sometimes I find it hard to know if it's super rebellious revolution book, if it's not been stated in the synopsis, and I hate reading synopsis, and I need your help. So down in the comments below, let me know what is your favorite fantasy book that has a revolution or rebellion in it, and that's the book that I'm going to be reading for this prompt. I'm super excited to hear what you all have to say, because you're going to help me pick that book out. So you're going to have the opportunity to help me pick out my book for this bingo board. So whichever book has the most common answers, it's the book that I'm going to pick and complete this spot on the bingo board. So these are a lot of fantasy books, but these are honestly all books that I've been really hyped to read. So I don't feel like I'm forcing any book at those spaces because they're all books that most of the books I already have, which is a good sign. So I will link all the information for the Reddit bingo board and the bingo board game, and all the information will be linked down below. Definitely go check it out. Also check out Mel and Cassidy's TBRs because they have already posted them, and they're quite different than mine, so you can get a lot of different variety of what books could count for these prompts. So if you want to take this crazy and chaotic journey with me, please make sure you press the subscribe button. If you're my friend on any of my other social media platforms, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All the information is linked down below. Stay kind, loves. I'll see you next time. Bye!